Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel today. I'm Calvin and today we're back to our philosophy topic. So our topic today is talking about the ontological argument. So our topic today is just trying to find the argument that proves that God must be exist. So in our last topic, we already talked about we should believe in God or not. So our topic today, we're going to find the evidence and also finding the proof that the philosophers have gave us in the history to prove that God must be exist. So nearly 1,000 years ago, a philosopher and monk called it Anselm of Canterbury put forward what known an ontological argument. So this argument simply is just 6 steps to prove that God must be exist. So I will read this argument for you guys. The first step, that God is the greatest possible thing that you can imagine. The second thing, that things that can exist just in our imagination or things that can exist in our imagination and in real life. The third one, things that exist in reality are more possible or are more greater than things that in our minds or in our imagination. 4. Suppose God exists only in the imagination, but at 3 steps we have above, which means that God in real life will be much more greater than God in our imagination. So at the last step, we could prove that God must be exist. So as you guys can see, going with the hard to understand part, this argument is completely wrong, but we cannot point out what is the wrong point of it. Okay, so there is almost certainly wrong point in this argument, but what exactly is wrong with it? Here are some suggestions that the philosopher have think about the wrong point of this argument. The first one, do we have to define God as the most greatest thing in the world? The second one, in what sense is existing in reality is much more greater than things exist in our imagination. 4. If you swap, 3. If you swap the word God with an ice cream, so that means you can make a greatest ice cream in the world. And 4th, is in this argument just going try to defining that God must be existent. So that is some wrong point that this argument have made, which means that it's just trying to focus on making the God exist, even though it have a lot of wrong and unsensed point. Okay, and here are some other arguments that just trying to prove about the existence of the God. The first one is the religious experience. So at this time, I think I would read the information a little. Okay, sorry. So many people believe that they have religious experience that seems to have been cursed by God. So this thing can be taken as evidence for the existence of God. So for my opinion, I think that I saw this religious experience a lot. Like when you are too lucky to think that you are just normal lucky, people who have their religious experience or religious belief will going to believe that that's because the God helped them to have that experience. So when you're saying something that it cannot happen in physically logical, so you will think that that's what God made if you are the one who believes in God. For example, if you seeing someone but when you come closer they disappear, people who won't believe in God, you think yeah that's a ghost. But people who believe in God say yeah that's still a ghost, but that's the ghost that Jesus or God sent to the earth to help us going to prevent from happening bad things for us, for bad things for ourselves. For example, the second one is the cosmological argument. This cosmological argument is being they're going to prove that everything has their cause, which means that, like an example, if you want to have a chicken, you need to have an egg. But if you want to have an egg, so you need to have a chicken. So that means everything have a curse, a change of curse behind it. But there is nothing is infinitive. Everything must be a stop point, and the point that no need to have any curse. The things or the being that can just naturally appear without going to breathe, without going to appear, without going to have anything before. And that's God. God is the most possible candidate for the place of the thing that start everything. Okay? Another argument came from the 17th century in French. A thinker called it that the place Pascal. So he tried to convince people that believing in God was the most rational thing to do, even though it wasn't possible, in his opinion, to prove that God exists. So simply this guy is just trying to make everybody believe in God by his word, even though he know that believe in God will not going to let them know that God is existent. God is exist. So come to the next one. The next argument is coming from Pascal. Like many people at the all time believe that God is existence, as you didn't believe, and if you didn't believe, you will be punished after you die. But when you believe in God and you are a good person, you will have eternal bliss if you after you die. So he made a broad, you can say he made a mind map that show everybody how about they going to believe in God or not when they see the result after we're going to die. So he made a board that if you believe in God, after you die, you will have suffer eternal bliss. But if you're a bad person, after you die, will have eternal suffer. But if you don't believe in God, whether you are good or bad, you still have nothing after you die. And after he he going to test everybody, he figured out that everybody, even though they are not people who believe in God, but when they come into that test, they will trying to fool themselves and let themselves believe in God. So this will come to another result of people mind. This is not about the God's opinion anymore. So in people mind, they will just going to believe in things that going to let them have their profit, going to let them have their right, going to let them have something that's better than the other. So they will going to believe in that things. That's not even going to count as the God or everything. They're just going to working for themselves. They're going to believe in things that they know will get them a better choice. Yeah, that's it. So Pascal felt that the possibility of eternal suffering was too great to risk. So everybody, even when they are not believing God, but when they see the risk of eternal suffer, when they don't believe in God, so they still trying to fool themselves, as I say, that they believe in God and hope that they will get eternal bliss after they die. Okay? So that's all for my video today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys on my next video. And now it's time for us to say goodbye then. See ya!